In progress.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Vanessa. I'm with Your Life Beyond the Military. I'm a military spouse transitional coach. And today I have the pleasure of having Annie Sires with us today. We are going to talk about all things college kids and FAFSA and military transitioning and what kind of benefits you know about and don't know about. So yeah, met Annie on LinkedIn and said, oh my gosh, we got to get this message out to the mass population of all those military families that are out there because it's a real thing. Annie's got 4 kids, so she knows it. She's been there. And
Yep.
yeah, and I've got 2. They're out of college now, or one did college and one decided not to do college. So Annie's here to just help us navigate that world and give us some tips. So grab a pen and paper, put your thinking cap on. We're going to talk money too, I guess, a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
Annie, let's see what you have to add here to the conversation. Thank you for joining.
Oh, thank you very much, Vanessa, for letting me have this opportunity to talk to your audience. I really appreciate it. So let me tell you just a little bit about me. So I actually started reaching out to people on the financial world because I decided to write a book. So how did I get there? Well, I actually taught budgeting and stuff when my husband was in command on various, naval things. I would help young guys or, whatever. I did the budgeting thing for a long time. And so my particular interest in the military world started with my own service, but also my daughter is currently serving. My dad served 31 years regular Army. My sister married a Navy guy. Both my brothers served. My father served, did I say that already? 31 years active duty. My uncle served in World War II. My grandfather served twice in World War I and got his citizenship that way. And my ex served in the Army, and then my husband, who passed away 4 years, was 23 years in the Navy. So I grew up, my entire world was the military. And it's always felt like home to me, talking to other soldiers and sailors and, military folks. Everybody in the military is related. You can talk to somebody in the military and you instantly connect and have commonality. So with all that military experience and all that military surrounding me, I watched my dad and my husband leave the military after long times of service, and I watched them struggle. Now, my dad was a doctor, and he was a research doctor, really super smart, and yet he struggled because, and I know everybody who's military here can relate to this, there's this huge gap. The military gives you everything you need. They set you up and you just go through, you just do what they tell you to do. They give you a paycheck, they give you a place to live, they even give you clothes and food. So you don't have to think about anything. And if you get married or you have a significant other, they take care of the other side. So, I ran the household and he just did the military stuff. And so when they left, I watched my husband particularly, he had a lot of fear. And it was, they've got to drive to take care of the family and make sure the kids are taken care of and everything. And they are leaving this huge comfort. So financially, there was this big gap. And so a lot of guys will fall back into the government world like my husband did. He worked for military Sea Lift Command for 7 years before he got cancer. And so I started connecting with people when I started writing the book, and I started talking to them. And over again, they're telling me, oh, we're going to use the GI Bill for the kids. And I'm in the financial world. And I thought, something doesn't seem right about that, because I know the military and I know the government, and they're not that put together. Okay. So I did some research. I mean, it just what it is, I love my country and I've served my country, and, but yeah, sometimes we have some glaring mistakes. So one of the things that I noticed was that sorry, let me turn off my phone.
She's a busy woman. What's going on?
Yeah, well, somebody's trying to get a hold of me. So one of the things that I noticed is that, okay, you're trying to use GI Bill. So when my husband exited, he opened the GI Bill up to myself and the kids. And so I didn't use it. And, my kids were already at a point that they really didn't need it. But I went and did some research, and I realized that, okay, so let's say you've been in the military 15 or 20 years, okay, and you're retiring, whether medically or you're choosing to leave or whatever, and you've got a GI Bill, and you've got some savings, and you've got TSP, maybe you even have a 401k or mutual funds or whatever. Well, the GI Bill only covers 36 months. So, and that's in-state tuition. So we'll just pick any university. It doesn't matter. I happen to live in the Midwest, so, I'll pick Kansas State University. Okay. Or KU. Okay. That's the big one here in Kansas City area where I'm not far from. KU's tuition, and I looked it up a couple of days ago, is about $1,200. Okay. And that's the in-state tuition.
For the year, per year, or per semester?
No, for semester.
For semester, right.
Yeah. So okay, so your GI Bill, so let's say you have 3 or 4 kids, right? You get 36 months of that amount of tuition. And it doesn't have to be that amount. It depends on the school you go to. But so if you have 4 kids, each one of those kids get 9 months. And then what? Well, they expect the parent is going to pay 5%, cover the cost of 5%, and the student is going to cover 20% of the tuition costs. That's how they calculate FAFSA. Okay. So here you are, you have served your country for 20 years and you didn't make a lot of money. You did okay, but now you're left holding the bag for helping your kids because you don't want them to fail any more than anybody else does. So even if you only have 2 or 3 kids out of 5 that are going to school, you still got to carry this burden because now these kids have to work, or they have to cover part of that because you've got this TSP, you've got this 401k, you've got this savings account, and all that counts against you in the FAFSA.
Right. If you save responsibly, right, your whole life, we talked offline.
Right,
like
you're punished.
You set up those aggressive growth for kids, like leaving the hospital with a Social Security. So we thought we're doing the right thing. We're saving, we're planning for this, and then we fill out that FAFSA form. We're like, we're not getting anything. What's going on here?
Exactly. So in my own case, and even then they were counting FAFSA that almost the same way. So yeah, I'm a little older. Okay. So when I was going into school, even though I was covering my own school costs, FAFSA counted against me because of my parents. My dad was a doctor in the military and a government employee, and he had good money coming in. It all counted against me. And so I didn't get any scholarships. I didn't get any student aid. So because FAFSA counts things like, I've got a list of the things that it counts. So it counts cash, UGMAs and UTMAs, which are kind of they're kind of fund to save for, similar to 529. Okay. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 529s, ESAs, commodities, cash gifts, and even some kinds of businesses they count against you. So here you are, senior sergeant or, mid-level officer, and you've got some cash, say 40, 50, $70,000. You've got some stocks and bonds that you've been setting aside. You've got 529s for the kids. That all counts against you. So what doesn't count against you, and this is really important, is cash value life insurance, simple kiosk, pensions, and some kinds of businesses don't count against you, plus
Can you
annuities.
repeat that again, please? You said
Yep.
cash value.
Yep. So cash value life insurance. So whole life and IULs, qualified annuities, simple kiosks, and so 401ks will not be counted against you, but withdrawals will. So when you hit that 59 and a half year rule, now most people don't know these two rules about 401ks and IRAs, okay? Which is, if you take money out of your 401k, your TSP, your IRA before you're 59 and a half, then you get a penalty. Okay, they take 10%. The other rule, though, most people don't know, which is if you don't touch your IRA, your 401k, or your TSP after you're 72, then they take 50%. So the government wants its money. They're going to take that money whether you like it or not. So 59 and a half age rule and the 72 age rule. So you have to give the government some money in those things, and withdrawals are counted against you. So you got all these things that are counted against you. It's one of the reasons why IULs and annuities have been one of the big things that people are looking at more, because they don't count against you. So very simply, what is an annuity? And there are a lot of financial planners that don't like them, okay, because in the past they had some negatives assigned to them. So the thing about an annuity is that an annuity is just a definition. So it's like, we're talking about fruit, okay? You could be thinking bananas, I'm thinking grapes. So an annuity is just a non-life insurance contract. That's all it is, okay? With a life insurance company. Traditionally, some of them have been expensive, but they listen to the market, and the insurance companies have been around a long time, and they listen to people. So they've made annuities really good performing, and they have guaranteed income and things like that. They're really a good product now. You have to be kind of picky, though, and you have to know what you're looking for. You need somebody to help you walk through it, is what it is. So annuities don't count and IULs don't count. So an IUL is an insurance policy with a cash accumulation to it. And traditionally, they are getting about 7 or 8% over a long period of time. These are not necessarily short-term, do it right now and get the money back immediately. These are longer-term ideas to help you grow and to build your retirement portfolio. The other part of that, though, is that they are life insurance. And in this day and age, with houses costing $300,000 or more, I mean, I just heard that the average cost in California is an $800,000 house. So people are leaving California and buying houses in Tennessee in cash.
And Florida, yeah,
right, and Florida, and you know, I'm sure they're doing it here in Missouri too. You know, so when you look at that, life insurance, like, okay, so let's say you, after 20 years, you have $300,000 in your TSP. Well, that's not enough to retire on. It's not enough to pay off your house, especially when you know that when you die, you have to count that your dependents have to pay taxes on it. So having a life insurance policy, which is not taxed and is growing at a rate that's equivalent or better than the market is doing, is a way to use that money instead of losing it into the college system. And so, and because you can put that money in there, it doesn't count against FAFSA. Your kids then get the chance to earn more scholarships and grants rather than having to be getting loans. And that's the big thing about loans is people are, like they're coming out of school with $200,000 or $300,000 worth of college debt.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I was a paramedic in Rhode Island for a little while, and I talked to doctors in the system there that were in my age now, in their 50s, and still had considerable debt. And it's just like, you go through the college system, you spend $150,000 or $200,000, and then you get a $60,000 or $70,000 a year job. And so you're behind from the very beginning. So I don't want kids to be burdened with that. I don't want parents to have to empty their retirement accounts in order to pay for their kids' college. And I don't want the kids to have to work, and I'm not saying it's a terrible job. I've started in food service. I started in, grocery stores. But if you're trying to get an educated, get a step ahead in life and get a job and grow, then starting it out with debt and working, terrible hours and all that is not necessarily how I would want my kids to start out in life. And so
if there's another way, like tell us. Yeah, we don't want that for our kids.
And the last thing that I would say about these is that this is not more or less money. It's movement of money. So you may be, if you're putting $200 into your TSP or your IRA, or 400 or 1,000 or whatever, if you're doing that already, that you'll be doing the same thing. It's just going to have a little bit different benefits, and it's going to last a little longer for you. And so to sum it all up is you need to talk to somebody who knows IULs and knows annuities and can help you maneuver some of that money that you have into a place so that it doesn't count against your child in that college FAFSA. So,
and are you that person, or do we have resources for people?
I am one of the people, and I have other people that that can help you. It depends on the state you're in. I cover 7 states, so if you're in Kansas, Missouri, Florida, Texas, Washington, California, or Hawaii, I can help you. And if you're in another one, I have people that I can connect you with. So definitely, because, I want people to know about this so that they can not worry about their retirement. I mean, the military gives you a retirement. And I will tell you, here's the other thing for all the military people who are thinking their spouse is going to be taken care of. So my husband passed away 4 years ago from aggressive brain cancer. Okay. And he was a commander in the military. When he retired, he got half of his pay, 55%. When he died, I got half of that. So consider the impact of not having some kind of financial foundation that you don't have to pay taxes on, because if you have a TSP or IRA, you got to pay taxes on that, and how that is going to affect the future of your other half. Because I took a 75% pay cut when he died, and that's rough. It was not an easy thing to go through, plus the grief of everything else. So there you go. Those are some things to put in you guys' mind and kind of think
reality.
about.
It's reality, and we shouldn't brush it under the rug. Like, we have to face it. And I would add also, since I do the VA disability claim audits, that's one of the things I do amongst, coaching military spouses that are transitioning. I mean, I didn't even think about it. And I'm in that position too. Like, my husband has his retirement, and we've worked hard to get that disability rating to the point what he deserves. I had to go to a third party, which I can help you with too now. And then it just hit me just the other day, because we're talking about death and, what's in the bank account and how this works, just you and I. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, yeah, when he dies, that VA disability cuts off too. That goes in the grave
Yes.
along with,
Yes.
and the death
And
certificate. So it's like,
right.
that's a chunk that the wives are kind of living off too, with the spouses, planning our trips, planning how we spend our money. And
Yep.
that it's overnight, just like you with your spouse.
Gone.
Overnight. Gone.
Yep. And another thing that happened to me was, and I blame TRICARE for this. This is 100% TRICARE. So we lived in a house north of the Kansas City, and during COVID, I had to move. Well, during the move, I lost my debit card, and I couldn't find it. I, canceled it and moved. Well, I didn't think about anything of that. Well, about 9 months later, I needed to go to the hospital for something I had a shoulder injury that I needed to get looked at, not hospital, but doctor. And I called and they were like, well, you're not in the system. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not in the system? I've been TRICARE Prime retiree for 10 years. What happened? And they're like, well, you didn't pay your premium, and so you've been booted out of the system. I'm like, what do you mean? When I canceled the card, they were supposed to send me a letter. They never sent a letter. I mean, I was getting the mail from both houses. They never sent me a letter. So I was booted out of the system and I didn't know it. And so now I had to so I went without military insurance for a little bit because I didn't have the income. It was during the beginning of COVID, and I had left the business that I had been running. And this is not to complain about TRICARE. This is just, we don't think about these things when we're in the military. When you're in the military, the family, you go to the clinic and they take care of you. You go home, you don't have to worry about any of that. It comes right out of their paycheck. So some of the things that you have to change in your thinking are things that you don't even consider after you retire. You're just like, this is one more thing that I've got to think about and that I didn't consider. And so I use it as a cautionary tale, because I don't want anybody else to have to go through that. I had no medical coverage for 9 months because I was out of the enrollment period. They wouldn't let me re-enroll.
Mm-hmm. It happened to us too, I think. We were, in transition, in a move, and missing that. I'm sure they sent us the letter. We missed it.
They're lying. They did not.
No, because they're not lying. I think we did
military for long enough. Most, probably 50 out of, well, actually more like 55 out of 58 years, they didn't send that letter. They just tell you they sent that letter. I almost asked for documentation. They're like, I'm like, okay, never mind. So,
I know. I think we missed dental for a while. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're out of the enrollment phase. We're younger, whatever. We've got good teeth, but still, it's like the process.
Right.
So that brings me also to the point that I've noticed the more conversations I have, and even with my coaching, that transition phase, you go through that 3-day tap course. I know the military's trying, it's a machine, and then they're just trying to, spit us out.
More like a week now, but still it's
right. So I've been talking to guys. Yeah, there's guys that are running businesses now, and they're helping people like pre-veteran. That's one of them. They're getting these people like 2 or 3 years out. I was thinking maybe a year out, but you really need 2 or 3 years out to really piecemeal it, like you do in coaching, like bite size. Okay, so we're doing this few months, we're doing this. And that's such a much better way to transition out of the military. And, you could have financial conversations and setups like that with you too. Like people show up at a booth and say, let's relook at your plan, your life insurance plans. Where's your money going? If you do have children, I mean, you're basically targeting like everybody with children's line up over here. We got to talk about what's going on with them if they're going to college. So yeah, it would be great if we could just bump that transition cycle up to like a 3-year mark. Link people up with people like you, link people up with spouses like myself, like mentors that can kind of start guiding them, like what a mother's going to be thinking about as you're transitioning, the things that the dad's not thinking about. Link them up about, the VA disability thing to get the paperwork and all those doctor's appointments. I mean, they're working on missions. They're in and out of deployment. They're not thinking, let me go get my hearing test done because I was in order for however long. And so all that needs to be spread out like 3 years prior. I just hope someone can do something with that information.
The other one that really that hits me to the core is I've talked to several now that are getting medical out, and
There's a lot more medical retired, it seems like.
Yeah. And
Like
I
medical
was just
retirement.
talking to somebody who is stationed overseas, and I'm not going to even tell you any more than this person is getting medicaled out, and they thought they were going to be making it 20, 25-year career, and that career is now cut short. And so there's a real fear that comes on, and that fear of the unknown. And so I talked to my husband about it a lot. We had long conversations about the things that were going on. And so I met in this effort to build the book. I talked to a guy named Bill, and Bill is retired from the work that he was doing, but he was doing a lot of the legislative stuff. So after the Vietnam War, and just helping a lot of, like, he knew everybody. And so he and I have been talking, and one of the things he says that, and I noticed this, that when there's a guy from MIT that did a study that says that veterans, for basically for every year that you're in the military, you are 1 year behind your peers in the civilian world.
Wow.
So right?
Wow.
It's called the Veteran Financial Penalties by a guy named, I can't remember his name, but he's from MIT.
You're 1 year behind financially set?
No, well, you're 1 year behind in everything.
In everything, in life.
From your civilian peers. So,
Wow.
and so this penalty comes to get you. So my husband, who he helped plan and he's gone now, so I can talk about this. He helped plan the invasion to Haiti. He helped plan the largest movement of goods in the world's history, which was the invasion of Iraq, Kuwait. When they did that. Sorry, I know I just got that wrong. Sorry, guys. When they did that movement, Military Sea Lift Command he helped plan that. And so here's a guy with massive amount of HR and logistical knowledge. He went to Amazon, okay, said, hey, and they offered him a low-level warehouse management position.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You come out and the civilian world can't translate what you're doing, and it doesn't make sense to them. And I've had a chance to talk to a lot of great people who are helping veterans. There's so much out there. I had a conversation with a young man today that there's so much out there. It's that, do you ever hear about that study they did where they did the jars of jelly? Like they were in like Central Park or something. They set up a table, and it was like they had 3 choices of jelly, and people came, and they actually did pretty well selling the jelly, right? Then they came back like again, and they put out like 20, and their sales dropped because people couldn't make a decision. Too many things.
The overwhelm is real.
Yeah, overwhelm. And so I talked to this young man today, and he's like, there's so much, they're just throwing all this information at you. It's like he doesn't even know what to do. And so I would encourage
you. That's what happens. You just get paralyzed and do nothing, and just
absolutely
like go off fishing or whatever.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So even if you just want to talk and ask questions, I am open to that, because I am first and foremost a financial educator. I want people to understand the things that they don't know about the civilian world's financial stuff. And
thank you. And we don't want to scare people. We're not trying to scare people off. We're trying to empower.
Just trying to give you guys information. So.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of your book too that you can nearby that you can show, or you don't?
It's not finished yet. It's in the works.
Oh, okay. So, okay. In the works. So we'll come back to that. Yep. How can people reach you, Anne? Because we're running out of time here.
LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
I am, I think, the only Annie Sires on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
So, and my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Annie Sires. So all you have to do is look me up and reach out to me. And definitely, if you have any questions, just ask. And if I have a resource, I have a lot of resources. a lot. And so
I have pages already just from our first little meet and greet call. I'm like, the jelly game has already started.
There you go. Too much.
and then I have a wealth of resources that I share with people, and I have to, sprinkle it too, because it's too much. The brain can only absorb so much at once, I mean, really.
Yes.
AI is still at human capacity running, so we can't do the AI level of information.
Chat GPT is an interesting tool. I've been in automation for a long time, so it was nothing really new for me, but really connections with people is always going to be much better. Chat will never be able to do what you and I kind of do. Like we find our commonalities and we meet up and we say, how can we help more people? So
we have a conversation. Yes. Video.
We have a conversation. Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Oh my gosh, that was a wealth of information. I wish I would have met you when my kid, when they were born would have been first, but then at least at middle school or whatever, to start preparing them better and setting them up. Our daughter ended up
even high school.
If you're definitely in that zone, and we're getting to high school graduation season, which is why I said, let's jump on now. It's May now.
Yes.
A lot of high school seniors are about to graduate. So please reach out to Annie. If you don't have the kids, but you're the niece, the nephew, the uncle, the grand, whatever, get the information to someone else and they can get in touch with her. So thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you, Vanessa.
This
was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.